But yeah, I used to bowl. Back in the night, I want to say it's gonna take me a while. I want to say the late '80s, early '90s, around there, possibly beyond. I gotta rack my brain for this. I'm sorry, but yeah, around the late '80s into the '90s somewhere. But yeah, I used to play in bowling leagues. I probably did it for 5-ish years. Um, but yeah, I'll probably do some commentary on this video. But yeah, I'll just sketch in a little bit of my history. But yeah, it was me, my dad, my stepmom. Um, I think my sisters played. At least one of my stepbrothers played. Um, but yeah, it was like almost the whole family were playing in leagues. Um, and I guess in case anyone's in case anyone is wondering what my average is, I think it was 170ish. I've gotten a fair amount of 200 plus games. One time I came really close to getting 300, but as you would probably expect for someone who's never made it that far before, 10th frame, I was striking all the way. I was striking all the way there. 10th frame is just yeah, I pretty much choked. Um, I think uh, I think I only got a 240ish. I think. So yeah. But these days I don't think I could do it. Um, I mean, especially with my arm being like it is. I don't need it anymore. Tore up. Um, working 10-hour shifts, that kind of thing. So it'd be kind of a bitch for me to get back into it now. Having to, at my age at my age and the wear and tear I've sustained and all that. The most I'd be able to do is maybe like bowl a game or something. Bowl a game or two and then call it good. I wouldn't be able to do leagues anymore. Again, it'd be too much wear and tear on my arm. So, yeah, there was something else I was wanting to say about that too. But yeah, it kind of parallels with pinball. He was kind of alluding to that. Um, it's pinball is very precise. I mean, your execution pretty much has to be perfect. You got to be dead on balls accurate. So, but I guess I'll go ahead and do some commentary on this video here. But I'm not gonna go through the whole entire video. I mean, ultimately, I'm here I'm here to do some pinball, not bowling. But I'll like maybe like the first few minutes of it or something.
Subscribe. Subscribing's free. You can always change your mind later, and it helps me. There's this weird perception problem with bowling. People see it as something you do on birthday parties or on a Friday night. They see the
Yeah,
lights, music, drinks, and they
pinball has that as well. In fact, let me do this real quick. I just now noticed it. There, for whatever that's worth.
assume it's merely entertainment and not a real sport. But much like an iceberg, beyond the surface level, there is so much depth,
Yup.
it's nearly impossible to
Yup.
comprehend it all without years of experience.
And again, pinball's like this too. You know, people think it's just some casual, casual fun. Player three balls and then, or yeah, player three balls and that's it. I mean, there's a lot more depth to it too. I mean, should you choose to, should you choose to pursue it further. So,
and going down the rabbit hole. It is one of the most deceptively difficult things you can do competitively. Not because it requires you to be a freak athlete, although most elite bowlers are absolutely athletes, but because
A
it
lot,
combines precision,
a lot of wear and tear on your arm, and possibly your knees as well. That's something else too. Pinball's kind of the same way. You would think at first only your arms are involved, but if you're really into the game, especially when you play physically, especially when you play in real life, you're having to, actually nudge the table, you know, you're, you're having to, or if you're like playing a tournament or whatever, or if you're, for whatever reason, you're having to play pinball for long periods, you're having to stand up for a long time. Again, you're up there just yanking around and stuff, so it is pretty physical. But like I said, bowling especially it can rip your arms up. It can also rip your knees up too. Especially like when somebody say spills their drink, gets it all over the floor, and other bowlers track that crap on the bowling lane, and you can't slide when you throw the ball because your foot kind of gets caught on that sticky spot. Yeah, I've hurt my knees a few times over the years doing that. So I'd almost want to be a Nazi and just say anybody who spills their drink around the bowling alley will be asked to leave. But yeah, it might be extreme, but yeah, especially when you're playing in a league, score is everything. Some Yahoo bringing their pop, blah 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 blah. Oh no, I spilled it. Oh, so sorry. And then it fucks over all the bowlers. You know, got it all over the floor and stuff. Because now nobody can really shoot their shots properly. Because now they have to do their approach differently and all that. Because eventually, all that sticky shit's gonna get tracked out into the bowling alley. Or best case scenario, it's gonna be delay a game. Everybody has to sit and wait while one of the attendants or whatever has to clean it up and stuff, or has to clean up the lane, resurface it and all that. So yeah,
mental endurance, and problem solving in ways that many sports don't even attempt. Let me explain why bowling is way harder than you probably realize, or why dismissing it shows you fundamentally don't understand what makes competition so difficult. But before we talk about difficulty, let's address the elephant in the room. Most people would question whether bowling is even a sport.
Yes, it is.
You'll hear it's a game, not a sport. If anyone
yes,
can
it
do
is.
it,
This might seem like a stretch. I don't want to spend all morning explaining it, but esports is actually a sport too. I mean, I forget the technical, the explanation that the guy did. I don't remember his name, but he bought an esports company. But yeah, he said the same thing. Those gamers are basically athletes. It may not be like pure it may not be all physical or anything like that, but there's a lot of this going on up there too. There's a lot of hand-eye coordination as well. So
a sport. Let's settle this right now using the actual definition, or at least my definition, of what makes something a sport. A sport requires extreme physical skill and exertion. Bowling absolutely embodies both of these. Precision also has to have its place, and the physical precision needed to repeat a complex motion hundreds of times while maintaining accuracy in bowling is athletic skill in its purest form.
A lot of wear and tear.
Repetitive strain on your body over a multi-day tournament is physical exertion just like any other sport. And just because you're not running or jumping, that doesn't necessarily mean you're not exerting yourself. A sport also involves competition with defined rules and scoring. Bowling has had standardized rules for decades.
Pinball has it too.
Are managed and maintained by the USBC, United States Bowling Congress, and the PBA, Professional Bowlers Association. The scoring system is also objective and measurable, much like any other sport. Competition is direct and quantifiable. This isn't a subjective type of thing. It's pins knocked down or pins not knocked down. A
Um, Pinball kind of has this. I would say golf has this as well. Fighting games has this. Like you don't with sports like these, you don't need to have a whole panel of judges. You know, analyzing everything and all that. Kind of like MMA comes to mind. You have to have a bunch of judges sitting ringside. Keeping the score and stuff. But with bowling and fighting games, all that matters is the score. That's all. That's the only real measuring stick you need. So,
It also requires practice and skill to excel. You can't walk into bowling and compete at a high level without years of dedicated practice. The learning curve is steep, and the skill ceiling is incredibly high. Natural talent helps, but that doesn't really
yep.
mean much without a massive amount of practice. And also, that anyone can do it so it's not a sport argument is straight up ridiculous. Anyone could technically play golf, slow pitch softball, or darts. That doesn't make them not sports. The existence of recreational versions doesn't invalidate the competitive side. And I think the real issue is that bowling doesn't really look athletic in the way that people expect sports to look. There's no running.
We've been too brought up on sports like basketball, football, etc. Like we're the physical sports, that kind of thing. I think we've been brought up so much on those kind of sports, we tend to laugh at all the others. So, not sure if this makes any sense at all, but when when you see a football player's leg get snapped in half over a tackle, oh, and then you see that the same thing not happen in any other sport. Yeah, we tend to scoff at those. Sorry if that didn't make any sense.
No jumping, no obvious physical strain. But archery is in the Olympics, and that's standing still and releasing arrows. Several other shooting sports are also Olympic events, and those still would require less movement than bowling. Golf is widely accepted as a sport, and that's just pretty much walking and swinging a club at the very simplest form. Bowling requires physical skill, athletic precision, competitive structure, years of practice to master. It qualifies as a sport by every checkbox in every measure. The only people who argue otherwise are people who are pretty much ignorant and have never tried to do it competitively and likely don't understand what they're watching to begin with. And by no means am I hating on these people that think bowling isn't a sport. I'm just trying to educate them and make them understand why it is a sport and why it's harder than you probably have realized. But now that we've established bowling as a sport, let's talk about why it's harder than most people think. But before, let's start with the obvious part. You're trying to hit a target the size of about a credit card from 60 feet
pinballs
away
like this too.
throwing a ball weighing around 14 to 16 pounds.
Yeah, pinballs like this too. If you're a split second early or late on your flip, the ball's not going to go where you want it to. It's also one of the reasons why I say if I start having my tech issues with my controller wire and stuff, if I start having that when doing pinball, I gotta call it off until I get the tech issue fixed. Because I can't play pinball. I can't play pinball properly without it. I have to be able to play with a wired connection, with no input lag.
At or above 15 miles an hour, with controlled rotation, speed, and lift coming off of your hand. Your margin for error in every aspect, especially the release, is measured in fractions of an inch. Miss your target by 2 boards at the arrows, you might leave a nasty split through the face or miss out the pocket entirely. The difference between a strike and a split can be less than half an inch of rotation off of your hand. Compare this to other sports. In golf, the hole is 4.25 inches wide, but when you look at the sport of golf itself, you're not just trying to hit that one time, you're trying to do that over the course of multiple strokes. In basketball, the rim is 18 inches, and you can miss by several inches and still make it in. In darts, even the triple 20 gives you room to work with. Comparatively, bowling is a lot less forgiving. The pocket is nearly 1 board wide if you hit it properly at the pins. You hit it right, you strike. Miss by an inch, and you're picking up spares. There's no real close enough when you're bowling competitively
Yep.
at the highest level.
Close enough only matters in horseshoes and hand grenades.
And I get that there is a certain luck aspect, but at the highest level, to get your ball through the pins the most consistently, that can almost guarantee you a strike, and there's nothing your opponent can do about it. And you have to do all of this while thinking about generating a good ball speed and a good rev rate. And you're not doing any of this gently either. You're releasing it with power and rotation while
Yeah,
maintaining
it's also like I said too. I wouldn't be able to bowl anymore, or at the very least, at most, maybe bowl like a game or something. But yeah, I wouldn't be able. I mean, at my advanced age and the injuries I've had over the years, the wear and tear, etc. Yeah, I wouldn't be able to bowl for like long periods. I'd only be able to do maybe like a game or two at the most. So,
like that of a surgeon. The combination is exceptionally difficult to execute, especially on the more unforgiving patterns. But what most people don't get is that ball selection matters enormously, especially on the highest or more difficult
yeah,
patterns. And there
I've seen this. Yeah, during my time in leagues, I mean, be watching people coming in with like 4 or 5 different balls. I actually call them scrotums, like the big cases that hold 2 balls. I call them scrotums. Yeah, but they'll be wheeling those in like luggage. They'll be having like 5 or so balls. So basically, some people have bowling balls like a woman has shoes, like one for every situation. So
standardization of equipment between bowlers and how balls react on different conditions. In most sports, equipment has standards or is at least predictable. A basketball bounces consistently. A tennis ball behaves like a tennis ball. A baseball flies when thrown how you would imagine it would. In bowling, you might have 10 or more different balls,
yep,
each designed for a hyper-specific
yep,
condition,
seen
each
it.
reacting slightly differently to the oil on the lane surface, and the transition of the oil as the games go on. You need to know which ball to use, how to drill it best for your style, and how to adjust it
And
when
that's
it's
something else too. Just like the pinball tables can often be expensive as hell, especially the modern ones. Bowling can be pretty expensive too. Like the ball that I was using, um, I think it cost me like 150 bucks. That's not cheap, especially when I was only making like, I want to say, I'll to average it out like $5 an hour. You know, bagging groceries, stocking groceries. Um, I think I was a janitor for a brief period, like in a grocery store. Basically, I ain't making shit for money. Yeah, 100 to 150 bucks is a big investment. So, so you got somebody like me, spending that on one ball. You can only imagine what some guy, some pro bowler guy or whatever, some advanced bowler coming in with a fucking small army of bowling balls. You can only imagine how much money he spent on his. Yeah, it is not a cheap sport.
working properly mid-game. Keep in mind that the lanes are constantly changing,
Yep.
so the shot you threw in the first frame won't always
Yep.
work the same way as in the eighth. Your
It's called oil displacement. I don't want to get too technical or spend all morning talking about this. Yeah, and I gotta call it off here, like quick. But yeah, when you throw the ball down the alley, it runs across the oil. I mean, the ball absorbs some of that oil, but the rest of the oil, it just gets displaced. It gets pushed to the side. So yeah, it's gonna eventually it's gonna cause your ball to roll very very differently, because where you normally throw it is no longer gonna have any oil underneath it, because all that oil's either been absorbed or displaced. So you have to start throwing differently, or you'll have to grab one of your 15, 20 bowling balls that you brought with you, and I'll grab this one. So
in an environment that's actively changing throughout the game, and you need to anticipate this and adapt in real time. Imagine playing basketball, but the rim moves slightly higher or lower after every shot, or tennis, but the court surface changes every
yep,
few minutes. That's what bowlers kind of deal with, except they're expected to keep scoring high while all of this is happening. But part of this is just the mental marathon of it all.
Yeah.
Professional bowling tournaments aren't 3 games and you're done. A typical PBA tournament has qualifying rounds where you might bowl 15 to 24 games, usually over the course of 2 days. Then comes match play, where you're bowling multiple games per day against different opponents.
Yep.
Then step ladders, where you need to peak your performance after already bowling maybe 30 games that week. And once you get through all of that, then you can claim your title. But thinking about it, you need to be scoring consistently throughout all of it. One bad or good game can either knock you out or put you all the way back in. One bad shot in match play could cost you the entire
Yep.
match. The mental endurance required to maintain your focus and keep good shots going is brutal. Bowling requires you to execute the same precise motion hundreds of times over multiple days while maintaining your concentration on every single shot. The
Okay. So yeah, I'll go ahead and call it good here. Like I said, I mean, I'm here to do pinball, not comment on a bowling video, but yeah, thanks for bringing it up though, White. So yeah, we'll go ahead and call it good on the vid.